1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
My name is Eldar Baigabatov. Usually people go by Dr. Eldar. My dad was originally from Kazakhstan. My mom, she's a Tatar. I was born in a remote village in the dead of the winter, no medical facilities. It was a hard birth, and we almost didn't make it. For recreation, we had to use public fountains. So a lot of us during the summer, it was very hot, and we would just enjoy swimming with other kids in those fountains. So it was happy memories for me because I spent a lot of time with my cousin, and we had so much fun. I miss those days sometimes. My heritage is important to me because it reminds us where we came from. We also have a lot of expatriates that moved from Kazakhstan and other republics in the former Soviet Union, and sometimes we spend time together. I have my wife and I have my 2 kids. For the first time in 10 years, I took my kids back home. I stayed for just a week. That was a great experience for them. Even though my kids don't speak Russian, I had to be the translator. But we had fun. We had a lot of fun together. When I came to Florida, Central Florida, especially Orlando, I was looking for a neighborhood that would be safe for my family. And Winter Garden was my wife's right away clicked for her because it reminded her of her hometown. She was in Zagreb, Croatia. So that cobblestone streets, that mom and pop shops, that beautiful environment, and we enjoyed our life here. We have Orange Trail where people run and bicycle, and it kind of goes along with our health and wellness attitude. The reason why I opened up my own facility is because I'd like to be able to help more people. So we try to incorporate programs that would allow to do that. My dream is to build a medical resort. It would be a sustainable, eco-friendly resort, so to speak, off-grid, where people will be able to come in and learn how to live properly, how to live off-land, how to support themselves and get healthy. Yeah, I've seen this on TV, I've seen this on YouTube, but I've never lived in an airship. I've never tried the container shipping housing. I haven't tried dome buildings. Airships, for example, it's basically made out of scrap material. Tires, vehicle tires out of cans, bottles, and clay. And the design is to recycle water, to collect the solar power, and they don't even require AC because the temperature is maintained by the Earth mass. The house is surrounded on almost 3 sides by Earth. There's actually a project going in Manatee County here in Florida. You don't have to go all the way to New Mexico to learn about this stuff. Yes, well, my family is very proud of me. They always put me to as an example to everybody else. Like, look, he made it. He made it to the United States. He's a citizen now. It's like, see what you can achieve.
Aloha, my name is Teruhe Kalani Ui Bushan Cruz. I am Hawaiian Tahitian, and I am a culturalist, a cultural educator, and a business owner here in Orlando, Florida. Interesting enough, our culture brought us here to Orlando. We have been here since the 80s. I am the first generation American in my family. Originally started in the Florida Keys. My father and some cousins were on a business venture and had a restaurant there. And then later they were sought to come to Orlando to perform at SeaWorld and Disney. When we moved here originally, we were just part of a small group that started here, and now we've expanded. Orlando has been real welcoming to our culture, I think because we live in a subtropical environment and everybody wants to come here to Florida to retire. So it's really created kind of a demand for this easy life, island type of feel. Although we're more in the middle of Florida than we are close to the ocean, everybody wants to have that easygoing feel. So they've been really welcoming to us. Being here on the mainland, the first generation on the mainland, it's very important for me to keep my culture alive because Polynesians are very rich in heritage, and family is one of the most important things. It is the core of our culture, what we call the aloha, the love aspect of it. But it helps me to remain grounded, and I think it makes me focus on really what's important in life because of the values that our culture really instills in us about a village mentality and being one with the earth and being kind to people. Here in Central Florida, one of the ways that we kept our culture alive is to continue on with the songs and dances. A lot of that included Polynesian entertainment, and every year we have large competitions. Sometimes we draw in over 500 plus people who are not of our culture that want to come and be a part of it. For me, keeping my children connected to the culture is really important. Some ways that I'm able to do that is to be able to send them back to the island. But most importantly here, also in Central Florida, we have a lot of elders who are masters in arts and crafts and music and dance that I've been fortunate to have in our family and to align my children with. The other aspect of it is to teach, and I had a halau or a hula school for many, many years. So some of the similarities that I see between the islands that I'm from and Orlando would be a melting pot of people. I think because of we're a tourism city, and we have major attractions such as Disney and SeaWorld. We've pulled in people from all around the world to work at these parks, and they've made home here. And so it's so culturally rich and diverse. I would say it reminds me of Hawaii, where we're a melting pot of people from Japanese, Korean to Portuguese, Mexican, and we have the military influence too. So that's one thing that reminds me of it. The same would be for Tahiti. I think it's just a culturally rich place. And that would be where I would feel that it would be the most alike or similar to where I'm from. What I feel my culture helps to bring to Orlando and Central Florida is just a real diverse look on the way of life. One of my favorite places to eat here in Central Florida is Big Belly's Hawaiian Grinds off of Aloma Avenue. And I'm so happy that they're here because I have a place that can touch me back to home at any point in time. So one of my favorite things that they offer for a number of reasons is their pineapple teriyaki chicken. It's a touch of home, but with a touch of class. And I think that's one of the things that first attracted me to this particular dish here. All the sauces that are used to flavor these foods are handmade from scratch, and it's recipes from the family that are very, very old. And that's part of keeping the tradition going with the food and part of the whole cultural aspect as well.
Well, sometimes I feel like I never know what to say. So I put on my shoes and I go.
Haere Maru, go with peace.
I go on every way because love, 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 love makes the world go round. Hey, yeah. I said love, love, love.
I don't know you, but I want you all the more for that. Words fall through me, and always fool me, and I messed up. You want to say hi to the people? Hi to the camera crew. Здравствуйте, меня зовут Joseph Choi. My name is Joe Choi. I've lived in Central Florida for about 6 years now. I work in marketing and advertising, and in my free time I like to golf and walk the dog. I was actually really tired of the cold weather up in New Jersey, and I think the cost of living. Through golf, I knew some people who lived most of the year down here, and then they came up in the summers to New Jersey. One of the cool things about living here and seeing all the people coming through, especially when you're at the airport, you're coming home, but they're going on vacation. So I work in marketing and advertising. I guess my job is technically a copywriter. I create marketing campaigns for companies, write video scripts. I get to work right from my desk here. Everything's done through conference calls, emails, Slack. Actually, I'm probably more motivated just to get through everything so I can, get to my other stuff like free time wise, acting and going to rehearsals and whatnot. So it's actually more motivating for me. I think going into 3rd grade, my family, we took a trip down here. We did Disney World and went to Universal. When you step into Disney World for the first time as a kid, you're just like, oh my God, this is like incredible. And it was so hot and raining. Here's my brother and I when I was young. Probably the first apartment that my parents first came. When I was living in New Jersey, my mom and we like to go to this place called Bonchon Chicken a lot. It's fried Korean chicken, more or less, and you're in Central Florida, and it's the best chicken you can find. The spicy one is really good. Yeah, I'll do the medium combo, half sweet crunch and half spicy. I got into acting almost completely by accident a couple of years ago. I think it was 3 years ago now. I've done a lot of short films. One of them, Lucid, was actually one of the best student film winners at Film Festival out in Tampa. So I know we said no gifts, but I got you something. I think with any theater experience, it's a series of like small battles that you overcome. And I don't think there's any better feeling than after a show on opening night, because it's just like everything that you've been working on, everything that you've been anticipating is like finally done, and you know you can do it.
Cuckold here now, and many a man there is even at this present now while I speak.
I heard about the initial auditions on Facebook, so I showed up. I got cast as the doctor. 2 rival teenage gangs or groups, whatever you want to call them, and they fight with each other, but they also have these very endearing characteristics, I think, that gets the audience to like them and feel for them. My role as doctor, I'm one of the, adults in the room, so you'll have to come to the show to find out what happens, but
My name is Sarah, and this is my story.
I was born in Belfast in 1985. Belfast is in the north of Ireland. There's a very harsh political history with Belfast. It's in the north of Ireland, which is known as Northern Ireland, the country. And then there's also the Republic of Ireland. So it's one very small island, but as it stands to this day, it's still 2 different countries. The conflict affected me and my passion for the arts. Not directly, like sometimes competitions would be cancelled, or I wouldn't be able to get to a lesson because a road would be closed or they would be cancelled. But the biggest factor for me was, I feel like the conflict was the reason that I carried on so much. I wanted to prove, look, I'm Irish, I speak Irish, I play Irish music, I'm an Irish dancer, like how much more Irish can you get? Like this is me as a human trying to show people I am Irish, and I embody that in everything I do. I love anything to do with Ireland, Irish culture. It's just, I was born into it and I was bred in it, and I feel like that's what I've carried over to America from Ireland, is my culture. And the culture of Ireland is song, dance, language, poetry, art. So when I was age 3, I think I started Irish dancing. And then when I was 4, they put a tin whistle in my hand and I was sent off to music class. I've been playing music and dancing from a very young age. The deciding factor for me to become a professional dancer was the show Riverdance. I think I was 8 or 9 years old. I sat and I watched it and I was in awe and I just couldn't believe it. And I knew then that I wanted to do that. I was still in high school, but I was like, I'll go for the audition. And I auditioned as a musician, with my flute and as a dancer. And I got the contract and they wanted me to start the next day. So I decided to join the travelling professional Irish dance show at the age of 17. As soon as I graduated from secondary school, I took off to France for a tour that summer. We did France, Finland and then America. The first time I ever came to America, I was so excited. Everyone's like, this is the land of opportunity. You're going to America, you've made it big. And we did a show in Pittsburgh on November 8th in 2003. An Irish pub had invited us to come and play music for free food and, you know, have a ceilidh, which is like an Irish party that night. We travelled into Pittsburgh. We all had a great night. We were all in cars going back to the hotel. And one of the cast members, which was one of the dancers, she actually was my roommate and one of my best friends, was killed in a car accident. That for me was one of the hardest times of my life, losing my best friend on tour in America. After the tragedy in 2003, the only thing that really kept me going was being able to get back on stage and getting a feeling from the audience that you're appreciated and you're a performer and you're talented. It's the only thing that got me through. So I ended up in Orlando. I was living in Spain at the time and I got the call to audition for Disney. The day that they booked my flight was the anniversary of the death of Margaret Brohan, who was my friend who passed away in Pittsburgh on the show when I first came to America. So it was an emotional day. Flying on that day to America, knowing that this might be, you know, where I would end up living, it was like a full circle. It was like, this is a sign from Margaret that this is what I'm meant to be doing. When I came to Orlando, I felt like Florida was a state where it's a melting pot of people, but it's a very transitional state where people might come here to work for a while and then leave. But for me, I was like, there's a niche here. Like, I feel like there's not that many Irish dance schools here. There's no big Irish communities. Maybe I could start one. And from that, when I finished the contract, I said, I want to work for myself. I don't want to work for anyone else. 6 years on, the school has went from 1 child to 120 children. So it's been fabulous. I would like to tell the people of Orlando that just because you're not Irish or you don't have a connection to Ireland or Irish heritage doesn't mean that you can't come and learn the culture. If you're interested in it and you have a passion for it, come along, you know, join in. It's that our doors are open to anyone from the community, not just Irish people. For me, the number one thing is peace, because I grew up in a country where we've never had peace, and still to this day there's still no peace. I feel like dance fits into the vision of peace in the world just by bringing joy to people. But dance is, you know, an escape, especially for young children. It's an escape from the everyday harsh reality of war or conflict.
My name is Sarah Costello, and I am a dance teacher and a musician.
Hi, my name is Ana Cuellar. I'm from Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico, and I'm a choreographer, dancer, and an aerialist. Growing up in Monterrey, Nuevo León, Mexico, was not that simple. And well, I studied contemporary dance and artes escénicas, but before that I was a gymnast. My mom put us there, to my sister and I, because we were always on the street doing cartwheels and flipping around, and my mom is, okay, I'm tired of you girls. you guys need to go to gymnastics. I was part of the national team in Mexico as a gymnast. So it was a little bit hard and difficult for me because I have coaches who told me I have the talent to go to the Olympics, I have all this, but I didn't have the money to go to the competitions to get you to the Olympics. Because unfortunately in Mexico, they don't help the athletes. They don't, like here in the United States. So when people told me this, like, no, they're never gonna call you, and now I'm here doing this documentary about my life. You have to prove them wrong, because when they say like you can, you just turn around and say, watch me. Started to do acting at the Cedar Alfonso Reyes. I studied acting for 5 years, Shakespeare technique, and then from there I moved to contemporary dance. I didn't know about Cirque du Soleil. I didn't even hear about it. So I was not really interested in any circus things. I went as a child, but that's it. My gymnastic coach, Adriana Corte, went to Montreal. So they went and they talked to her, oh, I want one of your gymnasts. And they go, oh, they're still in the elite gymnast, they're still competing. I don't think they can go yet. But I have one girl. She went back to Monterrey, I was teaching, and she's like, Anna, I want to talk to you. She's like, you know what Cirque du Soleil means? I'm like, it's a circus. Yes, I don't like circus. So I say no. Then she's like, she called them and like, she say no because she really don't know you guys. So they sent me a video, the video of Kidam, one of the shows. And when I saw it, I was just blown away. Like, oh my God, this is not a circus. This is like a, I don't know, like a different show. I was like, wow, this is amazing. I'm like, okay, maybe yes. I said, okay. So I did my video. They love it, and they called me right away. So I went to Montreal in 2003. So because I was strong. I didn't do aerial before, but I was strong because of the gymnastics. I was grateful because of the dance. I was open because of the acting. So everything came from this training in Monterrey, in Mexico. So that all this coming together at Cirque du Soleil. After La Nua finished, I didn't know if I'm gonna continue with Cirque or not. I know as an artist, I was already like, I decided like, I'm gonna retire at that level. So I was not sure, but I didn't put my eggs in one basket. So it's when I create my show. So when Cirque see that, they really kind of like, oh, look, Anna's directing, Anna's doing this. So my coach, Matthew Spark, hooked me with the people from the crew from at sea, and it's how I get the call. I present my work, they love it, and just to be back and now they see that side of me.
My parents grew up in different parts of Iran, but met each other in Orlando. And I mean, it's kind of incredible feat when you think about it, that they even like found each other in this spot. My dad was actually really shy to tell people he was Iranian, so he kind of kept it to himself. My mom recognized his accent, and so she asked him where he was from, and he sheepishly told her, and they started speaking Farsi, and the rest was history. So I'm sure there was a sense of just gratitude that there's someone like me who understands my background, understands my home country. So they hit it off pretty fast. My dad was really nervous about the potential of stigma associated with being Iranian and prejudice. I mean, this was right around the Iranian hostage crisis. And so I think he felt letting people know that he was Iranian could hurt his prospects in school, hurt his job opportunities, maybe lead to violence as well. So, I mean, it was definitely hard. I mean, growing up in Orlando, as a daughter of immigrants, most people automatically assumed that I was Latina. So, though that alone comes with its discrimination, at least there was some sense of fitting in, you know, to some of the dominant cultures in our community. And then once 9/11 happened, a lot of folks really identify my brownness as something different. And it was hard. I mean, I felt this pressure to fit in, especially into white culture. And whether it was feeling secure about the color of my skin, my body type, my family's heritage, the clothes that I had access to as someone who was working class. I mean, I felt all these variables that contrasted with who I really was. And ultimately, my mom's passing is what motivated me to run closer to my identity. Losing my mom created a moment for me to make a decision. Like, was I going to let go of so many lessons that she taught me, so many values that she shared with me, so many stories of Iran? Was I going to let go of that and distance myself from it, or try to reinforce it myself? And I made the decision to continue to learn about my family's story, which was a lot harder without my mom being there to actually teach it and pass that to me. But I made a commitment that if I was going to honor mom's life through action, I needed to understand her life better. I needed to put myself in her shoes and in the shoes of women like her. Life was never easy for us, but it was much simpler back then. You know, I think, first of all, just being a kid, there's just less complexities, and like, you don't still have to make all the decisions, right? But my mom being there, and though we struggled and there were financial stressors, just having a full family, you know, it was such an incredible feeling, right? Which I will never have again after she passed away. So when I reflect on these moments, it's like there was so much simplicity then, and unconditional love all the time, and what an incredible place to just like grow and become an adult. And there's not a lot of Iranian Americans that live in Florida when compared to other states like California. But I will say, for those that call Florida their home, these are going to be some of the most effective, empathetic, and giving people you'll meet. I mean, we have Iranian Americans who are working in our state universities, and they're professors, they're researchers. We have Iranian Americans that are saving lives in our hospitals, who are helping to launch rockets at the Space Coast, who are working in every field you can think of, attorneys, defending clients, or in some cases, they're the prosecutor. I mean, we see Iranian Americans be effective and successful in so many fields. It's up to us as leaders in our community to also to ensure that people of color and immigrants know that they're welcome here, and that you can come to Orlando and call Orlando home, and you don't have to be fearful of violence, which unfortunately in other parts of the country right now, I think a lot of people feel scared to be themselves. And so we have to share our stories and be bold about our identities despite the backlash we face sometimes. And my hope is that as we persevere through that, it makes it easier for others after me, because they hopefully don't have to deal with that same type of rhetoric, and they can call Orlando home and not be fearful of anyone threatening their safety, or of anyone belittling their identity because of who they are and where they come from.
As we were walking towards the plane, we thought we heard calling Fullington family, and Edward says, "They're calling our name." I said, "What are they calling us for? We're gone." And so so when we got in the plane, the guards were at the door. They tried to come to take us off, but the law is when an American plane goes to any country on the land that it stands on, stops and parks, that is American soil. You can't touch. My name is Elizabeth Fullington, and now I'm a naturalized American, but previously my home place of birth was Guyana. You know what the song, they say, "Oh, beautiful Guyana"? Oh, land of the free. That's the word. I mean, beautiful. You should see Guyana. Guyana is beautiful. But you left it, you had, because of what man did with politics, you had to run and uproot everything that you work hard for. At 23, we had our life set out, where you're going to be, what you're going to do. Yes, we made a conscious choice to flee and not stay, but when you think of your family and your children and the future, that's the exit. Not a casual exit like, oh, let us go to America. No. It was a safe haven. Get out, or else something bad may happen. Your husband may be the next Walter Rodney, blown up because he had too much of a mouth. We struggled and fought to become an American. It meant a lot. We broke down when we took our vows. See the flag? That was from our citizenship. It was a big decision. You may have had a lifestyle when you come to America, and especially you're coming with the hardships of a government where you're running away. You come with nothing and you are just leveled to the dirt. You're literally leveled. Who knows you? Nobody. Who are you? People may remember who you were from back home, but you're nobody. You have to start with zero. I said, hello, I'm Elizabeth Fullington, and she looked up. I said, I'm here for the position for the interview this afternoon. She didn't even stand to shake my hand or anything, you're welcoming me. She was expecting me, but she didn't expect to see who I was. So I walked back now, feeling sort of strange, and I told the guy, I said, hey, you just sent me in for an interview, and she told me the position is filled. He says, honey, welcome to America. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh. I'm so grateful that we went to New York, or else I wouldn't be the person I am today. Tough. The road may not always be covered with petals of roses, but you make good with it, you learn. You have a job, be grateful. I met a young man whose name was Scott Cohen, Little. He was playing for Release by Beethoven. I sat with him and said, look, you made a mistake right there. Let me show you, go back. And he says, where? He can't read. So I came into his life to be a remedial teacher. Next thing you know, they're asking me to be his teacher. You're coming from nothing into making something in a world that is a brand new world. It's like if I came out from Guyana all again, but it wasn't easy. Because when you're an immigrant, remember, you're not seen, you're like invisible. One day I'm going to help those kids to get the vision. Do you know what it is to give back and to instill vision in a kid who never thought he could be anybody? It was hard work to get them to go, raising funds, talking to Delta to get group fares, and I got my first group to go. You see them at the airport, it's like, wow. You see them on campus doing music in a foreign country, and they're eating it up. They left home hungry for the opportunity. That was my reward, that was my joy, because you don't know. It's only the rich could do it. An immigrant, they mark themselves, they put themselves down as a failure. Oh, I would never be able. No, yes you can. I did it, you could do it. Being an immigrant, I thank God, honestly, because I did not lose my roots and I was planted in America and made it happen.
My first year in the United States was, I think, as every immigrant, is always hard. The first time, the first year, so for some people it's more. But I'm a person that likes to put goals on it. So when I came, I said, Sylvia, it's time to learn. It's a new country, new language, new traditions, and you need to learn if you want to be happy. Because I know I'm gonna miss my country, but I need to fill it up that other space with something different that I can see, oh, okay, I can do this. Dancing has been part of my entire life, actually since I was 14 when I started in high school. And since the day that I started, I feel so much in love and passion for that. And I never stopped doing it. Even when I came to the United States 16 years ago, I have a little break, but it was a break that I have to take it because I need to learn how to live in a new country, learn new language, learn new laws, and everything new for me. So, and I had a break for almost a year and a half, but my heart, my soul, it was crying because I need to keep listening to my music and keep dancing, keep teaching, because that's what I love. So when I was looking for a name for a group, I want something that represents my country. And because we are so diversity, we have so many types of dances, music, a lot of different towns and ethnics on it. And I thought that rhyme was the perfect word that means the whole Peru. You know, we are full of color, full of life, and that's what I decided to put a rhyme in. A close friend living in Miami, and I found out that they're gonna have a celebration from Peru Independence Day, because in Miami is a big community of Peruvian. We got so excited, they said, let's come to Miami, you need to perform with us. So Sylvia grabbed the car and I drove to Miami. I met them and it was like, oh my gosh, I got what I was missing. I have it. It was in those two events that I create from Peru Independence Day in July. I remember that my first year I did like a dance class, and this was a popular song from a city called Ayacucho. It's a huayno, the music they call huayno. So I started teaching simple steps, and this lady, probably she was 75, close to 80. She couldn't walk, but I think she was from Ayacucho city. She stand up and started dancing with me. I started tearing when I saw the lady. And she was saying, thank you, because she wasn't going to Peru for a long time, and when she heard the music, she felt like she was in Peru. And this past July, we have another typical song too. And the woman calls to me and said, you made me cry. You made me feel like I was in Peru for 3 minutes. And I feel it. I feel your passion. I feel your dancer's passion. And thank you. So that for me is like, teaching and dancing is my passion, my life. And I think I will keep doing it until the end of my days.
My name's Walter Jackson. I'm from South Africa and we immigrated to Orlando 2 years ago. As South Africans, we love being outside. We love being active we've got 2 boys, they're 10 and 8. And for them, this is the best place in the world to grow up. They can go to all the theme parks, but we love the national parks more than the Disney parks. So we love bringing them outdoors, coming on the lake. We go kayaking and fishing. I was born in a town called Kroonstad in the Orange Free State on the 16th of June 1976. And if you know anything about South African history, that was quite an infamous day. It was the day of the Soweto uprising. People in the country stood up and said we'd had enough of this division and the racism. So that really was a changing point in our country. So most of my life I grew up in South Africa as a racist, a homophobe. It was a really isolated country. And the government really tried hard to keep us kind of under the impression that this was all quite normal. People read about South Africa and they hear about South Africa and apartheid. But people don't really realize, I guess, what that was like. Some of my friends were colored. So in that area, they had a specific beach and we had a specific beach. And we weren't allowed to mix. The problem was for us, the best fishing was out where the colored kids had their area to play and to swim. So we had to sneak in there all the time. And if we got caught there, you were given a hiding. And if the colored kids came into the white beach, they were given a hiding. So we had to hide the fact that we're friends. But when you look back at it now, it was such a cruel and just completely reckless system to impose on people. And it really opened my mind that there's a whole world out there that we'd been secluded from. The perspective in South Africa of being so isolationist and racist is wrong. I didn't leave South Africa till I was nearly 30. So the second place I ever went to was England. England is a very open culture. They accept people from all religions and colors and backgrounds. And we got to experience what it was like to live in a free society. That really completely changed my perspective, because for the first time I made friends from other religions, from other races. And from that first country 15 years ago, it was so easy from there to explore the rest of Europe. 8 years later, we'd been to every country in Europe, all 44. And after a few years of doing this, we realized, well, we really love this, my wife and I, and we had kids by this time. Never slowed us down, the kids are coming with. And we thought, okay, we've got to expand to other parts of the world. I've now been to 160 countries, trying to visit all 193. But then there are other cultures, which are so completely different to yours that it challenges you in so many ways. Those are the really fun and interesting countries. So one that really stood out for me was when I went to Japan for the first time. I had to book in this capsule hotel. Biggest shock for me was how they all shower and wash. So there's one communal bath, but you can't just get in, you have to go wash first, and everybody walks in there bathed naked. Now that's very, very distant removal from our culture. I had to go wash myself on a plastic chair where everybody could see me, and I've never felt so self-aware in my life. But that's what challenges you. It's not your comfort zone. And that's when you grow as a person. We ended up in Orlando because my wife got transferred here from South Africa. And it made sense to our lifestyle. And we just love it here. There are so many cultures here. So many people have moved here from all over the world to make this their home, that we don't feel alienated or isolated as immigrants. We live in Orlando, we still have made friends from all over the world. For next year, we have a big one planned. We are downsizing, we're giving up our bricks and sticks. We are moving into an RV full time, and we're going to visit every state in the US. If I want to leave people with any kind of thought, it's just really allow yourself to be tested a little. Now, I've been to 160 countries, so I have 160 different ways to look at the world. What people talk about when they say travel broadens your mind. It really gives you a different perspective of looking at things. And that's what we want to teach our kids, because education is the way you change the world.
Okay, I was born in India, and I was born in a small city. In the school we are taught how to do sewing, how to do crochet, because as a girl you need to know all those things. I wanted to do medicine. I really had a hard time convincing everybody to let me go to medical school. And actually, I ended up going to medical school. I got an internship and residency in America. So we moved back to Erie, Pennsylvania. I did an internship for 1 year and then I got residency in Chicago. My husband and I wanted to move to a warm place. Where I worked in the emergency room in Chicago, they acquired the hospital in Orlando Regional Medical Center, which is now Orlando Health now. So I asked them to transfer me here because we really wanted to move. 5 years, I worked in the emergency room and we collected enough money to open our own clinic. When I started my clinic, there was no clinic in the area. There was nothing in the area. I was the only medical clinic in the area and I did really, really well. My clinic has been there for 35 years. I really did get a warm welcome in the community and I'm really, really excited about it. So when I came in 1979 in Orlando, I met the Indian people and there was a small community of maybe 50 people or maybe 100 people at the most in the whole Orlando area. And always wanted to do a dance. And there was a program which is called Diwali. Diwali is like a Christmas for Indian people. And so there was a big program for Diwali. Everybody dresses up and there's a dinner and all festivities. So I say I would want to do a dance and I learned classical dance. So this is my first chance that I got chance to perform a classical dance. Then I decided that I want to do a cultural program myself. I could invite the people at my house and they can come here and they can enjoy my culture, they can dress up and we have a different food and different things and instruments and singing and dancing, pure fun. This is my way to dress up my country's thing to the most extent because it's my own party. That creates great memories. I committed to do the parties for my anniversaries every year and I invite my patients who are very well known to me for years and we do costumes, we do instruments, I show my faith and I provide them with the instruments, Indian instruments, American instruments and we have the best time and it's not only about the dinner and a party but it's also about knowing the cultures and also to show faith in God can make you go far in life. We like to pray to God and especially we pray to Lord Ganesh. Hindu believes in doing a worship good luck God first before starting any program. Goddess of wealth and this goddess sits on the lotus and if you can see the money is coming out from her hand. So anytime you want to worship Goddess is to give you another good luck and to get the wealth and prosperity. We feel like that the Goddess of wealth should be running after you rather than you running after the Goddess of wealth. Lakshmi ji जो Goddess of wealth है, उनको आपके पीछे भागने दो, उनको आपके पीछे भागने दो.
Not running after it, but let her run after you so that it catches you. Because the speed of Goddess of money runs faster than you do, so you never catch it.
I always feel like that I am doing my culture in America more than I would do in India. Actually, it is, honestly, it is the best thing ever happened to me. And I feel like that in America, you can get the best of both. The Central Florida is our home to be forever.
それが大切だと思います。I was born in China as a second daughter during one-child policy. I was not supposed to have life. Well, my family moved to Japan when I was 6 years old. I remember going to school. We were put in a special class first to learn Japanese to more like friendly environment, and then later we were put in the normal classes. Well, as a child, I felt like I wasn't a Chinese or Japanese, like, you know, the dilemma or struggle of not being 100% Japanese or something. But it is important to me now that I know my family histories and what they have been going through in their lives, and that really inspires me, and I feel there is a certain purpose in my life to be in this position. So it's really important to me to find who I am. So I finished my English program in Dallas, Arlington, Texas, and then moved to Miami. And that's where I started to pursue AA degree there. From there, I think I became obsessed with painting and drawing, pretty much all like art classes. But I just love to draw, love to paint. But nowadays I do everything, whatever I can find around me that I can express myself, like including my body. So I'm really into like sometimes performance art, video performance, installation, and collaboration with live music, live dancers. Wow, that's so like, what is this? Wow, I can understand my family is suffering. Like as soon as I started saying Japanese, it's more like it's not just me, it's more like my family is talking to me. Mm-hmm. 今の私の人生で一番大切なのは自分らしく生きること。周りの人の意見や批判を恐れてはいけないのです。たとえかっこ悪くても自分らしい生き方であれば、そこには自分に対しての愛があり、そしてその愛が人に伝わると思う。だから自分らしく生きよう。I think identity is constantly changing every moment. But I feel that I have different cultural backgrounds. I feel like I'm not belonging to a specific one, but I'm everything. I have found home inside of my heart, and that I carry everywhere I go. So I don't have the feeling of displacement anymore. I feel like that if you can listen to your heart, you can be home anywhere you go.
So, the toast, and you will eat, don't worry. So, and the tradition is you have to tell something like good, definitely, and cheers. My name is Alla Kurova. but we use the second name in Russia, which is our father's name. So the full name is Alla Valentinovna Kurova. I moved to Florida in 2007 and teach at the University of Central Florida. Life in Russia can be different. It depends in what situation you are and what you are doing there. So the same is in each country. You can be in the situation that you are happy, and you can be in the situation when you are completely unhappy. It's difficult for me to say where I am from Russia because my dad was in the military and we moved from one city to another city around Russia, so I've almost lived everywhere in Russia. The most difficult thing for me is be more diplomatic, because in Russia we are very direct. If your answer is bad, you're not going to say, oh, some of the things in the answer was good, but you have to. Russian culture does not allow you to do that. Your answer was bad, so that was bad, period. I have to say that Russian people, my friends, I really miss them. I don't have a lot of relatives, but what is good that Central Florida is still welcoming immigrants and help immigrant people to succeed. We love that because again, the whole community, my university colleagues and the whole Central Florida, Orlando especially, is such a warming place, and I love the weather here. When people say it's hot, no, you have to go to Russia and to live there during the winter time especially. I am trying to not think about the past, though it's very difficult, as you probably understand. I mean, when you have only one child and somebody murdered you, you'll never get over that. But my students, because they're like your age or younger or the same, so they are the people who are helping me and give me energy and give me hope and give me everything, my enthusiasm and what I am doing. I'm basically keeping them in mind all the time. And because she was 21, she was murdered, and so my students are the same age, so it was very good that I moved here. My ideal place is here. I love this place, and I don't even dream. And again, I love my job so much in Orlando, and I love the community, and I didn't even have this thought, Right now I'm just thinking what you ask me, but no, this is the ideal place, and UCF is the ideal place for work, and UCF students are ideal students for me to teach. He was good. He was very good. Ladies, come on. You ruined the culture. You ruined the culture.
My name is Katerina Korbatova. I was born in Uzbek Republic of Soviet Union. It has been, as you know, Soviet Union has collapsed in 1991, so it has been an independent country of Uzbekistan ever since. As an immigration lawyer in Central Florida and all across the United States, it's easier for me because I meet folks from different cultures every day. It makes me feel good that I'm able to give back. It makes me feel good that people come to the United States to pursue that American dream we all hear about. For anyone coming to the United States, it's difficult, guys. You go through depression, you cry, you miss your food, you miss your friends, your folks, depending on what circumstances you came under. But at the end of the day, United States of America is a land of opportunities. It's a land where you can actually feel equal no matter what race, religion, or nationality you came from. So it's not easy, but it's very much worth it. I'm privileged to have my son actually be in the United States born citizen, unlike us being naturalized. We all immigrants, we all came here. Every single person in my firm is not a United States born citizen. Every single person in my firm has their own story, has story of their own to share, and that's why they're here to give back. So I want to encourage everyone, whether you are accountants, doctors, lawyers, or any person with any profession, give back. I do some pro bono work every year. We've helped a lot of folks who actually are in financial need. We do things for Thanksgiving for folks who cannot afford food. So those little things that I can do, I try to do to give my little part to the culture, to the society, and Central Floridians overall. People is what it's all about. Giving back, being together, not judging, and just putting ourselves in the shoes of others. I love what Fusion Fest is all about. I am privileged enough to be involved this year. I'm very thankful for it because, it brings a little bit of element of why are we here? What it is that we want to do? What are our duties? What are our responsibilities? And more importantly, what are our rights? Well, let me tell you, our duty is to get together, to give back to this community. Our right is to be a part of this and to feel like you really are giving back. Друзья, не теряйте себя, не теряйте вашу личность. Вы приехали сюда из любой страны. Вы любите свою страну, вы любите свою родину. Не теряйте этого, не продолжайте, не становитесь человеком, забывшим о своей культуре, своей родине.
I'm Jack Ledoux. I was born in Hartford, Connecticut, and turns out I am a Croatian gypsy. The best times growing up, family was everything. Some of the best times I remember until I was about 11 or 12, and I guess all of my cousins and I became teenagers. We had these wonderful parties. We were so close. My mom had 10 in the family with her, and everybody talked to everybody all the time. We were at my Uncle Johnny's house, my Aunt Betty's house, or our house for all the family parties, for all the holidays. And there was always singing and dancing and food, lots and lots of food. Things happen. My mother and father were great people, just rotten mothers and fathers, if you will. I mean, they weren't terrible, but it's a funny thing. Things happen on my mother's side of the family that made her the way she was. She had no self-confidence, and I guess to make that work, she had to control everything and everyone. And because my father would take off, she controlled me. She started getting physically abusive, and she wanted to move in with me, and it was a bad idea, but I did it. And no matter what I did, it was wrong. She started telling me how fat I was, how much she hated me, how I was just like my father. And then she hit me. The upshot of the whole thing was one night, I couldn't take much more, and I called my best friend. And she came over, and she was trying to explain to my mother what was going on in my head. And my mother started choking her. My mother was older. And you could say, oh, it was just old age. But no, it was vicious. And I couldn't take any more. So I packed up the cats and me. Sorry. And I came here. And that weekend, she moved out. And I did not speak to her until her death 4 years later. And sometimes I think about sitting with her and talking to her and just saying, Mom, I just wish you could have accepted me the way I was. I wasn't you. I couldn't be who you wanted me to be. I did have some things that I was good at that had nothing to do with you, and I just wish you could have accepted. When I came down to Florida, Central Florida, I realized I found my tribe again. I feel more like a gypsy now, a true gypsy, than I ever did. Theater, karaoke, don't judge me, and all of it. I sing and dance and laugh. I have a dog named Ziggy. He knows when I'm sad. He knows when I'm happy. He comes up and gives me a hug. He is my heart. That's my tribe, my gypsy clan, if you will. All my friends, they are the best. We have so much fun. I mean, we cry too and we help each other out, but God, it's so much fun. It's funny, I probably should know more Croatian than I do. I know ptica. That's bird. That's it.
My name is Gisela Maldonado, and I come from Mexico City. I came to Florida chasing my husband because I have always loved him very much since I was a teenager. It was my first love. He had this wild spirit. That was 19 years ago. I have always been a Floridian, and that is my soul. I'm a Floridian. I was able to find a job on my official profession. I am a veterinarian pathologist in a state lab. And my job is basically I do autopsies, what a human will do, but I do it in animals. That's an necropsy. We have almost every single animal species you can think of represented in Central Florida. I danced Mexican folklore for all my life. I felt the need of bringing that to this culture and not to let that go away. I need to pass it on to new generations and to other cultures.
I'm a part of the Mexican troupe with my mother, and I love it because we get to go to festivals with a bunch of other Mexican people or people that love Mexican culture, and that's a really cool thing to be a part of.
My life in Mexico City was surrounded by family. Raising Isabel has been challenging with no family other than my husband and I. It has always been important for my husband and I to have the culture in them.
I've been very welcome personally, but there's some times that my mother and I are nervous about speaking Spanish in stores.
Sometimes we feel we might not be welcome. Before we will speak in Spanish and there was no issue. We are always so proud of show our culture. We try to speak Spanish but just be more quiet.
I don't have a lot of Mexican idols because I don't really learn about that in school. Like there's no Mexican history class here, Mexico history. There's just US history, US government politics. Some Mexican people, like my family in Mexico, I'll be like, oh, I'm Mexican. And they're like, no, you're not. You're not Mexican. You're American. And that kind of hurts because I feel Mexican and I like learning about my culture. I think you can't say you're really something unless you actually try to learn the language and be a part of that culture.
We bring Mexico to our table. The food we cook is all homemade Mexican. And my husband, he is the star of the show. He knows how to cook almost every Mexican dish. If you want to learn about a country, you have to have their food. My husband, nothing, because I don't cook. He's the one who cooks. He's like, okay, let's see how she answers that one.
When that time comes for me, that my legacy continues on through my art, my techniques, to say, oh, he's not Michelangelo, he's not Leonardo da Vinci, but he's Patrick Nose, and he looks like me. My name is Patrick Nose. I'm an artist, a Haitian American artist. That's what they call me, pretty much. I'm from a place called Jérémie. It's a part of Haiti, but it's the province of poets. I grew up with my uncle, who was very strict and taught me everything I know about mannerism and to be a gentleman. There in 1976, I came to America, the land of the free, where all things are possible. In order for me to travel by myself, I had to be 12 years old. I wasn't 12 years old. I was 9 years old when I came to America. Because in Haiti, you don't need a lot of things. You say, hey, cousin, I got to change my son's birth certificate. So he changed the birth certificate to 3 years older. So I'm able to travel by myself at 9 years old. So everything I've done in my life, I did 3 years before time. Marriage, high school, college, 3 years before my age. So from this cloud that you've started, you always want that solid white to remain there. I like to have this place as a school, a gallery, a museum. So I want you to come in here and breed art. Not necessarily come in and say, oh, it's just another place where you could do painting, drink some wine, and go out. This is much more than this. When I open something like this, it's not because I have the ability, the capacity, money-wise, but it is the possibility and the hope that before I die, 2 children became 2 master artists because of something they saw at Patrick Nose's place, or because of Patrick Nose, then I would not have died in vain. So there's a line right here. Look at my finger. See this line? There's a line, and it continues here. Ooh, you didn't know that, did you? New York was the school of life. You know, I've always said, and it is said, if you can make it in New York City, you could make it anywhere. And my first experience in New York, walking the streets of New York, there were a couple of kids playing. So I smiled at them, hoping they would invite me to play with them as well. But they instead chased me and beat me up. In fact, they stabbed me, and I still have the scar on my little belly there. So I went inside the room. I said, Mom, I'm never going back out. So what I did was, in 6 months, I learned how to speak English. And then I was placed into high school. Hence began my journey of understanding America. Running a studio, and with the funds are limited, and things are not happening the way you're at the verge of giving up. I was in trouble. So it was midnight, and I started painting. This painting of a face that describes pain, that describes a man that is just wanting to blow up. But the beauty of it all is, when you are not supposed to be somewhere, you are there. The people around you wonder, how come? So it is important that if you are of a culture and you are an artist, you record your civilization. Because until you begin to record your own civilization, guess what? No one is going to do it for you.
My heritage is important to me because it gives me a sense of identity. When I feel lost with all the things that are going on, I can always fall back on our family traditions, and it just keeps me grounded. Dance in general has been such a huge family tradition. My mom, when she was living in Hawaii, heard about a company in Pennsylvania who was hiring dancers from Hawaii. My dad found out about the same show, and so they met each other in Pennsylvania to dance for a hotel. When they moved back home to Hawaii, they started their own dance school. So we grew up dancing. We grew up competing, doing shows. It's just part of our lives. I can't imagine my life without dance. I am the owner and the lead instructor of Kalena's Polynesian Ohana, Florida, which is a branch from my mother and father's school in Hawaii. Each culture has their own type of dance. There's different types of hula, different types of dances that you see in Tahiti, and it all varies between different islands. But I was really born and raised on Tahitian dance since I was little, and that's mainly what I teach. Tahitian dancing is most known for their fast hip shaking. It's very aerobic, it's very eye-catching. It's the exhilaration that you get when you're just exerting all your energy on the dance floor. Yeah, you really feel the spirit once the drums start. When a young man or a young woman reaches a certain time in their life, they would tattoo themselves. It's a full body tattoo. The men would get their pe'a, which is their body tattoo, and that tattoo actually ranges from below their knee all the way up to their ribs. The young woman would get a tattoo called the malu, and that ranges from below their knees to their upper thighs. But now you don't have to have a body tattoo. You can put tattoo on clothing. You can express your pride for your culture in what you wear. Another way that I hold on to my culture is through my love of arts. So I create apparel, I create bags, whether it's t-shirts or uniforms or leggings. It's usually rooted in Samoan designs. And my brother Mikaele and my sister Natalie, they are the tattoo artists of the family. So they would come up with a concept design, and I would take that into Photoshop or Illustrator, and I'll digitize all of their artwork. And that's just a way for me to hold on to my cultures through cultural art. We wanted to focus on clothes that would be appealing to other Polynesian dancers like us. That's where Shop Kalena's was born. This shirt is our most recent shirt that we designed for my dad and my brother's dance school, Mangamuo. The designs on here would be similar designs that you would find on the pe'a, which is the tattoo that my brother has on his body. These symbols stand for the bird, and this is a coconut leaf design, and just different types of coconut leaf braids here. Orlando, Florida, I find is very diverse. And with that, there's always a calling to reach out to the cultures and find a common place for everyone to share in their differences. When we see someone else embrace the culture, even if it's not part of their culture, and even if it's not something that they do 100% perfect, we welcome it because we don't see it all the time, and to see other people embrace our culture is really warming.
They met in Peking, Beijing, China in 1940. She was a vivacious young American teacher returning to the Christian mission where she'd been born. He was a Czech Jewish doctor who'd fled the Nazis and taken refuge in China. They fell in love and married 5 weeks later near the steps of Peking's Temple of Heaven, where the Taoists believe heaven and earth intersect. They were Ruth and Oswald Waldig Holzer. They were my parents. I moved here in 1982. I lived in Atlanta for 10 years, and so I came back to Florida and was very happy to be here. And in Central Florida, I've always liked the opportunity to get involved, and it's a welcoming community. So that has allowed me to serve on boards that I might otherwise had to wait years in other communities to do. It's very open. I also was able to chair some events that were exciting, particularly to my father because he loved soccer, and I ended up being the chairwoman for 6 years, volunteered for World Cup Orlando 1994, FIFA's first World Cup in the US. So we went through a bid process where we beat out 20 other cities to be the host, being one of 9 that hosted it, and we were named by the Atlanta Constitution the best venue and the best World Cup ever. And my father was so proud of that. Central Florida really does welcome people. Well, for the last 10 years that I've been writing, I've kind of lived in the 1930s and the early 1940s. So I've really studied what unfolded and how it unfolded, particularly through Nazi Germany. And so the anti-Semitism, which is certainly on the rise here now, and just anti-immigrants too in a lot of ways. If you're not pure in what the Nazis saw, then maybe you don't belong here. And we're seeing that kind of attitude, and that really, really haunts me. You also see attacks on the media, as you did back then. You just see a lot of problems that, you know, they emerge slowly, but then suddenly the pot is boiling, and that's what happened there. And so I think that's how I kind of see what's happening in America right now, and it's important for everybody to keep their eyes open and stand up for justice and make sure we don't go any further down a path that we can't come back from. I came in '82 and never really felt like this wasn't home. It was right away home. It felt great. I love the diversity of this community. I love the welcoming arms that it has, and I think, you know, that's made it a special thing that I could raise my family here.
My name is Rosida Sigel Harris, and I'm from Indonesia, particularly from Java Island and Bali Island. So.
My name is Amara Siegel, and I'm the oldest out of the bunch, 20.
Hi, I'm Bianca Siegel. I am 18 years old.
I'm Eric, and I'm 15.
I believe it's very important that we know where we come from, and I want to have my children to still keep that kind of, you know, identity.
We are part of a nonprofit organization that focuses on Indonesian culture and diversity in that way. But as you can see, we have a lot of costumes, a lot of instruments that we use during these performances that bring us closer to our culture.
So for me specifically, I'm still trying to explore my culture. Like while I'm like representing my culture for all these performances and everything, I'm still myself like trying to find out who I really am through this culture. We all have our own Indonesian clothing, and we wear that pretty often actually.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Like his shirt that he's wearing, it's a modern twist for batik, and Bianca and I were wearing this is called a sarong, what I'm wearing, and Bianca's wearing just joggers.
Yeah, it's like batik patterns.
Modern.
Yeah, modern.
And most of the time, what we have here is like keeping everything to yourself, you know. And in our country, in Indonesia, it's different. If you have one daughter, the whole community is gonna bring your daughter out. So it's different. Yeah, here it's like mind your business. So that's something that's completely different.
The diversity, like everyone here looks different. Everyone in Indonesia
looks the same.
They all look
the same.
Yeah.
And this isn't from like a Western standpoint. It's just like they all look the same. Their shades, they're all like oranges and brown. But everyone here is just like, it's so different. So many different religions, different skin colors, races, everything. In America, everybody has different beliefs and they go through life in different ways. And they have like different hobbies and different things that Indonesians wouldn't do. But Indonesians have different things that Americans wouldn't do.
And it's very modern here, so everyone here kind of thinks their own way and they have their own take on life, so very diverse in that way.
We are here for living about 14 years. I know I feel blessed. There's so many things that I did not have it in Indonesia. We have it in here.
We were in Indonesia. We had multiple conversations of how we are so grateful for what we have in America. Even the little things, I think people here don't understand how good they have it. And we were like, one big thing that we had over there, a daily necessity is, you know, taking a shower, taking a bath. Over there, you turn on the faucet and the water drips down into a bucket, right? Probably this big. And you get a scoop, put it over your body. Most of the time it's cold water, so you're taking a cold shower or cold bath. I think we've only seen that twice on the trip, an actual shower head. So when we opened that door, we were like, yeah. So what about you guys?
When I went to Indonesia with them, I was hit with a lot of culture shock because they didn't have regular Western toilets. They had squatting toilets.
I was just gonna say that.
And the first time I saw it, I was kind of questioning my existence in Indonesia at the time. It was so shocking. An important lesson that I learned basically was just to be grateful. They have nothing really compared to us. Refrigerators, washing machines, AC, all of the things that we consider like natural, they don't have it. And usually when a person told me to be grateful, I understood what grateful meant, but I didn't understand like the extent of the word and how like I didn't understand the importance really of the word grateful and feeling grateful. But when I went to Indonesia, immediately I just felt it.
The migration of most African Americans came up through Louisiana, Mississippi, and they went out into certain areas like I think St. Louis, Chicago, Detroit, LA. And they were going for auto jobs because that's where the plants were because they were paying them higher wage. So I was in Detroit and I had done very well in Detroit and I had a loft in Detroit. And it was right around the time of the financial crisis in 2007 when or a little bit prior, because things happened in Detroit sooner than the rest of the world. They say, as a matter of fact, Detroit's like the canary in the coal mine. If you want to know what's about to happen, look at Detroit. And so things started getting a little rough, and at the time, I was in this phase where I was, prior to that, even trying to figure out who I was. I knew that the life I was living wasn't the life I wanted to live, or the life I was meant to live. And so I was trying to like explore what that is, both emotionally and spiritually, and wasn't necessarily there. But simultaneously, the market crashed. I got laid off from my job. I ended up getting to a point where I was like starting to lose things. So like my house or my loft that I built, but also I was dating a young lady who was working for Chrysler, and then got a job working for Disney. And so she had moved there to Orlando, and I was still up in Detroit, and I was thinking like, all right, I don't necessarily want to be up here. I need a fresh start. I'm in this relationship. I have roots in Orlando from Bethune-Cookman. I did the math. I was like, well, the relationship doesn't work. It's not like I'm moving to like Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like Orlando's small, but it's big, and I can get in and do some interesting work down there. So let me give it a shot. Central Florida is where I found my faith, which is important to me. Central Florida is where I met my wife in 2012 at a co-working space, a little nuanced, eclectic, weird co-working space in downtown Orlando. We were friends at the time. Central Florida is where we got married. This is home for me, and the reason why is because like in Central Florida, some of the best things have happened to me, right? Like this is where I was able to restart. I was able to come in and be around people who wanted to build stuff with me, whether it's the Orlando Tech Association or the things I do now around community building through my co-working space or through entrepreneurship, Rally, the Social Enterprise Accelerator, the stuff I do in education. Like all of that work was created because of the relationships I had through this community, right? I said, you know what, Orlando is my home. And I started to speak in that way. It changed how I interacted with people, how I engaged people, how I invested in people. And as a result, it changed how people engaged me. And now I'm to a point where people in this community know who I am. They want to come alongside of me. They know the work that I do, and they know that I'm about moving this community forward.
My name is Hernan Tagliani. I was born in Buenos Aires, Argentina. My background is Italian descent. Basically, Buenos Aires was formed and founded by immigrants. In the case of my grandfather, he was trying to run away from the war. So they were trying to recruit him to be part of the military. So he didn't want to go to war. And so they put him on a boat, and they brought him to Buenos Aires. And that's how he met my grandmother, that was Italian too. He was a hardworking guy, and that's why I feel that I'm living part of his legacy, coming from a different country and make a difference at the end of the day and in people's lives. And I'm passionate about what I do. One of the best risks that I took in my life is to find love. I met my wife in July 2001 at an Irish bar in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So she was there on vacation. We hit it off, and then she left the following day. I took her to the airport, and then she came back 21 days after, and that's how our life story started. The feelings that I felt for her, I never felt for somebody else. It's something that you can't describe with words. What love is sometimes, that feeling, you feel it from inside, from your guts. So I decided to take the risk and leave everything, my family, my friends, my business. I think I'm a reflection of many, many immigrants that they came here to fulfill the dreams for a better future. In this case, it was an economic reason. In this case, was love. And that's why it's very important to understand and respect the background of different people and why they come to this country. The first time I came to the US, my English was very broken. So when I landed in Atlanta to take the flight from Atlanta to Orlando, as I was coming from Buenos Aires, I was going through security. So the officer at the time, security, he told me I had to take my shoes off and I had to take my belt and I had to put it on the plastic tray so they can scan it. Well, I didn't understand what he was telling me. So what I understood is that I had to strip dance. So I started pulling my pants down and he realized what I was going to do. So he interrupted me and said, "Please, sir, don't do that. All I'm asking you to do is to get your belt and your shoes and put it on the tray." And I will never forget that. The problem with people is the lack of communication. That's what it boils down to me. People don't know how to communicate. I am a Hispanic communication expert and business speaker. I also own an multicultural advertising and digital firm. I love what I do. I'm passionate about it. I always wanted to have an understanding of the American culture, of their values, of how to do business with them. We are becoming this multicultural nation. Whether you agree or disagree, that's the reality. How we change perception is by educating. My purpose is to influence executives on a business standpoint about the importance of diversity and how to promote it among brands and among consumers. I made Orlando a better place because I bring into the conversation on the table the importance of being multicultural, being diverse and inclusive. This is a great city that I'm proud to be part of this city and the great things that is going on right now. At the end of the day, we're all one. Doesn't matter, your accent or your color of the skin. On the contrary, that makes us even better. This is a nation of immigrants. That's who we are. This is my home. It's not Buenos Aires. Orlando is my home.
My story, like any story, begins with a dream. Dreams start to take flight when you give them the wings of possibility. As a young woman in Beijing, China, I had a dream that needed wings. I had already been accepted at a university in New York, but after waiting for hours at the local Beijing American consulate, my student visa was denied. But I wasn't ready to give up. The very next day, my mom and I got up at 4 in the morning and waited for long hours in the snow to appeal the decision. Upon a second look and after carefully examining all documents and evidence, my application was accepted. Getting acclimated to a new country and language can be daunting, but my drive to succeed kept me on track. After a few months, I applied for a job at a law firm that would require sponsorship to be able to work. Once the work visa was accepted, I began to work at the law firm by translating documents from English to Mandarin and vice versa. Because of my studies, I was only able to work for a few hours during the day. New York is an expensive city, so I got another job at a Japanese restaurant. Graduation day arrived in 3 years, and I was proud to have an economics major. I did it. But guess what? The dream was taught by my parents, and it didn't come from the deepest reservoirs of my soul. One of my dreams required not only the wings of possibility, but also real metal wings. I applied and began training with a major airline. Within 6 weeks, I moved from New York to Detroit, and I was traveling all over the country and parts of the world. I enjoyed so much that I only spent 2 days out of the week in Detroit, and the rest soaring the skies. Like the birds in the sky, I started my current journey and flew south to Tampa, Florida. I didn't know what to expect in Central Florida because I lived for most of my life in cities with cold weather. When I landed in Tampa, the oven-like temperatures and 98% humidity hit me in the face. Did I make a mistake? After a few weeks of living in Tampa, I began to appreciate why so many people move here. I quickly began to get involved in teaching Chinese and dance at my local church and became a reporter for the local Chinese newspaper. With my new experience in writing, I was reminded of a childhood dream. This dream involved the fairy tale Cinderella. At the age of 10, I wanted to be the best stepmother ever and marry Prince Charming, who has blue eyes. Today, I'm happily married to my prince with blue eyes, but instead of a white horse, he has a red pickup truck. I also have a stepdaughter whom I raised since she was 1. I would like to challenge you to go after your dreams, but remember to honor your family's wisdom. Their support will pave the way and give you the wings of possibility. And just like this painting, it takes time, training, and dedication to make something out of nothing.
梦想的翅膀。
Let me start by explaining my story. My family has lived in a small village in Palestine called Anakta, where everyone knows everyone. When my grandparents tell me stories about it, I can sense how happy they were from the smiles on their lips and the spark in their watery eyes. How they used to walk around town with all classic stone buildings, beautiful arches, tall palm trees, and domed roofs. My name is Yasmin Zayed, and this is the story of how I bring Palestine to home.
This one says Ahlan wa Sahlan, which means welcome in Arabic.
So when the Gulf War happened, I was 4 years old. It happened in 1990, and I was born in 1986. I vaguely remember, just leaving the house I grew up in. I remember we had some toys in the backyard, like a red seesaw, and just leaving all that behind and literally just carrying what we had on, the clothes we had on our backs, and just going to Jordan. It was like a state of emergency, obviously, in Kuwait. That's when the Iraqis invaded Kuwait, and we ended up moving to Jordan and building our life again in Jordan. My dad got his engineering degree from the United Kingdom. While he was in Kuwait, he used to go back and forth to get his degree from the UK. He ended up moving to California, working with aircrafts and engineering. And we kind of followed him when we were younger, about 4 years old. And then I guess my mom, kind of was feeling homesick and wanted to go back to her family. And even my dad, I do believe, he needed to be next to his parents. So after establishing himself here, he kind of had the opportunity to go back in Jordan with that same field and stay in that field.
There's a proverb that I like in Islam. It says basically, love for your brother what you love to yourself. So anything that you feel like people can give you, definitely be, kind of like it's karma. Like in English when we say, karma, be good to people and the universe will be good to you. So yeah, I mean, in general, like the generosity and the hospitality of the Arab community is very well known. Everyone that travels there would always tell me about, how hospitable people are, how the food is so great, especially when it's homemade, and that's part of our culture. So here we have a traditional Palestinian breakfast, and it's very nice to know that all these ingredients are available at the Mediterranean market here in Central Florida. When I moved to Central Florida, I definitely wanted to find people from my community. My sister has already been, living here for years before I moved in, so she already knew some of the community members that are from Jordan or Palestine. I did reach out to the mosque as well to see what they offer, especially for kids. Since I have a 5-year-old, I did want her to be involved with kids from her own culture and to kind of learn the religious values as well. I also reached out to the American Arab community. They have a huge center here that usually has activities for kids, especially when Eid is here, which is like the Muslim holidays, twice a year. They have a huge event with, like bouncy houses and face painting for the kids and a lot of vendors for us to interact with. So I was very glad when I moved to Central Orlando to see that there are a lot of Palestinians and Arabs living here comfortably, presenting what they have, presenting their heritage, and interacting with others, other people, other Americans and Palestinians as well. Living in Central Florida has shown me that, a city that is like a melting pot, it really is. At my job as a pharmacist, my next door colleague sitting on the next desk, she's Korean. I have a Puerto Rican friend, someone from Detroit. So we kind of all met together and we really shared the experiences we have as a community. I like to take, the positives obviously from each culture, and I like to expose people to our culture as well for them to pick up some of the positives that we have, because that's what, living in a diverse community is, just taking the positive things and hopefully eliminating all the negative thoughts that we have about each other.